I'm David Barnett. You probably know me from my recent appearance on Soho Radio, where I was one of the guests alongside one of the Bell Stars. The Bell Stars, probably best known for their 1980s hit Sign of the Times. But rather than living off past glories, I was there very much as a guest of the present and a star of the future, because I was promoting my forthcoming appearance at the Dublin Castle's Rock and Roll Book Club, where I will be appearing in conversation with Julie Hamill in February. Tickets still available on Ticketmaster, I believe, but selling like room temperature tickets. Anyway, as well as a star of radio and stage, I'm also, of course, a star of track and field. Welcome to this week's very special edition of David Barnett's Great British Parkrun Journeys. Will running kill the radio star? Oh no. Our journey this week takes us to northwest of the metropolis, an area relatively uncharted by David Barnett's Great British Parkrun Journeys, so far at least. Now, the first part of our journey was made by overground train on the so-called Ginger Line, but we are now changing at the interchange of West Hampstead, and we'll be crossing the road to take the Jubilee line for the next stage of our journey. Here we are, West Hampstead, almost as overpriced as actual Hampstead, but without any of the actual charm. West Hampstead's probably best known for being the residence of Robert Webb, the less successful, less talented and less funny half of popular duo Mitchell and Webb. Also the residence of Boz Boorer, guitarist to the likes of Adamant, Morrissey and, needless to say, a close personal friend. Hi Boz. Anyway, here we are, just crossing the road to West Hampstead Underground Station on the Jubilee line. Not, as you might suspect, named after the well-known Blur song Jubilee, or the less well-known Suede song Jubilee, but in fact after the Queen's Jubilee, the silver one. In fact, she's had so many now it's hard to keep up, but the silver one from 1977, celebrating her 25 glorious years on the throne. Here comes our train. Let's get on board. Here we are then, Canons Park, our destination today. Very near the end of the Jubilee line. Canons Park, what do we know about that? Well, in Wikipedia it is described as an affluent London suburb, and it is situated to the south of Stanmore, a very wealthy, desirable area, much loved of Premier League football players and serial sex offenders. It's also quite close to Edgware, less desirable and once the home of a rather terrifying former lover of myself. Here we are then, Canons Park, on a freezing cold, wet, grey Saturday morning in January. Let's see if we can find the start, shall we? David Barnett talking to you from the finish line at Canons Park Parkrun in Canons Park, northwest London. Well, as you can see, it's not ideal parkrun running weather today, but despite that, a very pleasant parkrun, absolutely charming park, once the grounds of a large stately home. Prior to that was owned by the monks or canons of Smithfield. So you can see lovely landscape gardens, winding path, mostly tarmac, but then going into some woodland area. Again, quite a decent track, but lots of puddles, mud, and then a short patch across grass, which rather resembled Passchendaele circa 1916. Nevertheless, as I say, beautiful parkrun, mostly flat apart from a small incline during the woodland area, so one I'd really recommend. I imagine it's particularly attractive in the summer when you can actually see some of the scenery. A satisfying parkrun. Personally, I came in a very respectable 8th position out of a field of, I imagine, around 100 parkrunners. Difficult to tell because of the weather. Can't really see more than a few metres in front of you. So as I say, Canons Park, once a part of the large home in this area. But what else do we know? Well, Canons Park is in fact a listed Grade 2 historic landscape, and it was created from the remains of one of the grandest homes and gardens of 18th century England, apparently, developed at great expense by the first Duke of Chandos. The Duke made his fortune as the paymaster general of his forces and was one of the richest men in England at the time. His palace was completed in 1720 and was demolished after less than 30 years, to be replaced by the current building, which was completed around 1750. That's probably enough history for you now. Look it up if you want to know more. Anyway, that about wraps it up from me. I'm off home for a hot shower, but hopefully we'll see you next week with some better weather. Until then, bye-bye and happy running.